Hatim Mohamed Ali from Sudan. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, yes, you carry on.
Yeah. First of all, we have to thank Global Forum for Sustainable Rural Development in localizing the Sustainable Development Goals in SDGs. And it is very important here in this thematic area that of the conference of Zero Hunger by 2030. It is my pleasure also to thank Dr. Jayanta for his nice presentations and selecting very thematic topics for the conference this year. My presentations will be towards alleviating poverty in Sudan by adopting SDG 1. I have been founding, I am the founder and the focal point for TEFAS Hub for the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. This is about my buy note here, about the email. If you can see it on the PowerPoint. I have been working experience, a lot of remarkable experience with the peace and sustainable development field. I've been working with the United UNDP in Sudan as a consultant in the peace building, also with a consultant in Sudan. Also in Sudan, yes, accreditation of IFAD Sudan, accreditation consultant trainer in rural development. Also, I've been conducting more training in the development with the British Council and the European Union delegation to Sudan. Okay, as we see, the most important thing here that we can deal with the Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 1, from the sustainability. From the Sustainable Development Goals, it is number one. The first goal, end poverty in all its form, everywhere. That means Sudan is one of those areas that has been focused. Here, as you see, the SDGs 1 targets. There are a lot of targets by eradicating extreme poverty for all people everywhere. Currently measures people living on less than 1.25 USD dollar a day. Also, it is to reduce at least by half of the proportion of men, women, children of all ages living poverty in all its dimensions according to the national or according to national definitions. There are also for the SDGs, it is important that by 2030 to ensure that all men and women, in particular the poor and vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources as well as access to basic services, ownership and ownership and land and other services of property that can be under natural resources or finding a suitable new technology and financial services for microfinance. Here also, it is important for the SDGs 1 targets to create sound policy framework at the national, regional, and international levels based on pro-poor and gender sensitivity for development strategies to support accelerated investment in poverty eradication actions. Also, this year, there should be great efforts to meet these responsibilities. It is important to respect human rights, including the rights of these groups, also with the perspective of measures to address, and it will be as a key performance indicators or milestone that can be mended for the business models to important to innovative products and services for better needs for different groups. Also, here, beyond the income of these business influence other dimension of poverty, such as limited opportunities and capabilities. There should be a linked dimension, including food, nutrition, insecurity, lack of access to basic quality services such as healthcare, education, and wash for personal security. Also, the role of it will be taken. Poverty eradication should be addressed the framework conditions of poverty, for example, by engaging policy dialogue for the provision of basic goods and services where it is operated. That means certain groups, in addition to these constraints, have the limited access to productive resources and markets in escaping poverty. These include women, persons with disabilities, and this is very important people to be considered in the communities. The people with disabilities, most of the people here, the government or the private sectors ignore that, and they do not give them the chance for working or whatever. Also, the children and the indigenous people with different communities. Key business themes addressed by this SDGs one, that availability of the products and services for those on low incomes, earning wages and benefits. Also, economic development in areas with high priority and access to quality essential health care services, access to wash, which is water and hygiene and whatever. Also, the electricity availability, and this is a reality, and this will be action with goal number 7, that will be interlinked with these goals together. The last point in these business seems to be addressed, no discrimination. That means when we deliver the service, it should be delivered to all ones, not to discriminate for certain groups or certain ethnic people according to some matters. Here, example for business actions and solutions, we have 5 points. First one, to develop products and services tailored. When I say by tailor, that means to make according to the poor customs. They need the money to transfer services or whatever. And number 2, improve access to basic goods and services for people living in poverty through core business, policy, dialogue, social investment. Also, recruit, train, the building the capacities of to employ local community members, including those living in poverty, and integrate them in our value chain as to change them instead of a consumer to be producer, supplier, and whatever. Number 4, to invest in business drive and poverty eradication activities. Example, to develop wage policy. Number 5, the last one here in the key business actions and solutions, the partners with civil society networks to provide education and entrepreneur skills training. This is about all that matters have been mentioned about the SDGs in according to the goal 1, according to the sustainable development goals, and goal 1 in particular. Now we are going to shift this into Sudan. It is to think globally. That means Sudan is not far away from the globe of the world, and we would like to act locally. Here it is a map of the Sudan and the flag of Sudan. That means we'd like to know the causes of poverty in Sudan. And this is a very important topics to be, and this is a very important point here. That means although Sudan is considered to be the food basket of the world, it is wide suffers from poverty. What a pity. The causes of poverty in Sudan in the terms of national levels. There are two reasons, there are two causes for poverty in Sudan. The first one, as we said, Sudan will be considered as the food basket of the world, and it is a wide-ranging suffers from poverty. The main one is mismanagement of natural resources. Our problem here is the mismanagement, how to proper management. The number two is the corruptions and conflict of interests. That means the main two problems that has been causing poverty in Sudan: mismanagement of natural resources, corruptions, and conflict of interest. Here I have been driving 5 points as a recommendation to zero hunger in Sudan. Number one, Sudanese government should adopt ethical and moral approach. We mean by moral approach, to adopt this is from the bottom-up approach, to take it from Ministry of Education and Ministry of Guidance and Endowment. Ministry of Education to tailor and design what we call it the curriculum that calling for moral to our children when they are in early stages of school. Also, Ministry of Guidance, there are Muslims, Christians, and not believers, and different ways they should be tackling them into talking about the moral and ethical and ethicals in the behavior. This is number one. Number two of my recommendations, the Sudanese government should set restricted policies, laws, and regulations of mitigating poverty. And this is what we call the good governance. Number three of my recommendations towards zero hunger in Sudan, encouraging Sudanese businessmen to participate in supporting vulnerable groups. And this is for them, for the businessmen, can be considered as a social responsibility toward the communities. Number four, before the last recommendations towards zero hunger in Sudan, mapping intervention actors in poverty sector in Sudan. That can be governmental levels, Ministry of Social Welfare, whatever, CBOs, community-based organizations, INGOs, international non-governmental organizations, UN agencies with different sectors or with different mandate to be concerned here or to be intervened, donors and others. For proper networking. Networking is very important. That is to avoid duplications. Maybe some people concentrating on the same region or on the same area and isolating the other ones. If there are a proper networking between all the government, CBOs, NGOs, UN agencies, donors, and others, it will be to guarantee that this effort will be mended or will be taken in the right way. The last recommendations from me toward zero hunger, there are, as I mentioned, there are 5. The number five, the last one, that means Sudanese government should empower graduates of universities. We have graduates, but they are unemployment anyway. They are not unemployed anyway. So the Sudanese government should empower graduates for authentic projects and facilitate microfinance for adopting social enterprise. Thank you very much for giving me this chance, and I hopefully that it will be, instead of virtually, it will be attending physically. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or intervention, I am ready.
Thank you very much. I don't know how